Every species on Earth, you, me, and that nasty neighbor of yours, is destined to go extinct someday. Just like what happened to the woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Stats aren't bright. Scientists say that 99% of all animals that ever lived are now extinct. Hey, what's that look on your face? Going extinct is not the end of the story. Now listen up. Mammoths might make the greatest comeback ever and even be the key to saving humanity. Nope, they won't give away free money so that we don't have to work anymore, but they can sorta help the weather situation on our planet. In the Arctic tundra, there's this ground called permafrost. It's like soil in the form of ice. Soil turns permafrost when it stays super cold for 2 years straight. But now, permafrost is actively thawing out, and it's bad news for, well, everyone. Because while thawing, it releases a lot of carbon into the air. But what if we had large animals like mammoths there today? They would churn up the soil. The ground would freeze more deeply in winter. And then, in summer, a layer of grass would help keep the ground cool and prevent the permafrost from melting. Some scientists think that's a great solution. So now there's a company in the US that's trying to bring mammoths back to life. Okay, you got me. Not actual mammoths, but a sort of hybrid between an elephant and 1% mammoth DNA. It would be a northern elephant. Getting mammoth DNA is easier than you might think. They actually only went extinct about 10 to 14,000 years ago. Scientists are hoping to have their first elephant-mammoth hybrid by 2027. Let's hope it doesn't turn into a real-life Jurassic Park. Australia. A nightmarish place and a home to the most fascinating creatures on Earth. But here, the sad fate befell the Tasmanian tiger, also known as Thylacine. Don't mix it up with the Tasmanian devil. That one is living and thriving. Nope, the thylacine was a marsupial predator that used to chill in Australia, South Tasmania, and New Guinea. It was a nocturnal who preyed on other marsupials, like kangaroos. In the 30s, the farmers suddenly claimed that thylacines were eating their livestock. Looking back at it now, that was probably an exaggeration. But humans started to hunt poor thylacines until they were all gone. And then it turned out that hunting away the important predator isn't the brightest idea. Who would have thought? You see, thylacines kept things in check by eating bad animals. So once they disappeared, the Australian wildlife was basically doomed. 35% of total mammal extinctions on Earth happened here. That's an awful world record. I know it sounds gloomy, but hey, maybe we can fix this. Remember that company we mentioned? It wants to bring back the thylacine too. Luckily, many thylacine embryos are still preserved in jars, like some creepy pickles. If we bring them back to Tasmania, this could help revive the entire ecosystem. Would you be happy to see them back in the wild? Me too. And I would also be happy to see you hitting those like and subscribe buttons so you can keep up with amazing facts all year round. We also have some huge dreams about tiny creatures. Take a trip to Mount Hotham Ski Resort in Victoria, Australia, and here you can find the mountain pygmy possum, a tiny bundle of cuteness. These guys are super rare. We even thought that they were extinct. All we had was their fossils. But then, some skiers spotted a possum in a log pile at the ski lodge in 1966. Imagine suddenly making a great discovery while chilling on vacation. These little possums can spend 7 months of the year sleeping under the snow. They wake up occasionally to eat some stored food, and then they wake up in the spring to eat even more, find a mate, and go back to sleep again. What a relatable fella. Since they've made it into this video, you can guess they're pretty endangered. There are less than 2,000 left in the wild. All because their current homes don't fit them that well. But hooray, we can help them too. You see, their ancestors lived in lowland forests about 20 million years ago. So maybe mountain possums could live better if we moved them there? Of course, we can't just take them to the woods and expect them to survive. Instead, scientists want to slowly release possums into the forest and check up on how they get on with it. Let's hope these cute creatures will adapt to woodland life. The southern gastric-brooding frog, also called the platypus frog, was quite a unique creature. It was discovered in 1972 in Queensland, Australia. Back then, this fella shocked the scientists with its super weird birthing practices. Check this out. The mother frog swallows her eggs, turning her stomach into the womb. Then she doesn't eat at all for 6 weeks straight. I could never. Meanwhile, the tadpoles hatch in her stomach, start to grow, and eventually get so big that the mom literally has to breathe through her skin. And then she literally spews out her offspring left and right. Bleh. But this insane process is a great evolutionary achievement, which is why it drew everyone's attention. But the wonder didn't last long. By the mid-80s, all known species of these frogs vanished from their natural habitats. Why? We have no idea. There are many theories, but almost no evidence to back them up. In any case, over the years, these guys officially became extinct. But it all changed in 2013. Scientists started a groundbreaking project named the Lazarus Project. Now they want to resurrect these frogs to learn cool cloning techniques from them. Are you guys ready to copy their genetic preservation method? Yeah, me neither. But let's dive deeper. Literally go in the water. Meet the coelacanth. This creature lived in the oceans back when the dinosaurs roamed our planet, and didn't even notice the asteroids. These guys are the Methuselahs of the sea. They can live up to 100 years, and they don't even start thinking about leaving offspring until they're around 55. At least they've got plenty of time to live for themselves. We actually thought this creature had gone extinct about 65 million years ago. But then, the first Latimeria specimen was discovered off the coast of South Africa in 1938. Now they're known as living fossils. And these fish are enormous. They weigh around 200 pounds. They're also super stylish, with those lobe-fished paddles that make them look like disco balls. Oh, and they're great aerialists. Thanks to those versatile fins, they can even do headstands and swim belly up. The coelacanth is also a bit of a homebody. It's not very energetic and likes to live in underwater caves during the day, only coming out at night to snack on smaller fish and squid. Another animal who's literally me. Now we're trying our best to preserve this species, and I won't be surprised if it outlives us all. And finally, let's talk about the largest and most awkwardly looking flightless bird from New Zealand, the South Island Takah. The tale of the Takah started way back in the Middle Ages. Humans accidentally hunted them all away, and by the late 19th century, it seemed there were none of them left. But then, they were rediscovered in New Zealand in 1948. Poor guys did all they could to hide from us in the mountains, but we still got them. But it's different now. Since then, we've been trying our best to save them from extinction. There's a Takah recovery program going on, and it shows great results. They managed to greatly boost the number of birds in the wild. As of 2023, the Takah population has grown to around 500 birds. They're now considered nationally vulnerable, not nationally critical. It's a little progress, but progress nonetheless. Let's keep it up.
Currently, there are approximately 20 billion animals inhabiting our world. If everything were ideal, we would have 5 billion more animals on Earth. But many species have gone extinct, and around 44,000 species are currently in danger. The largest, most recent mass extinction event in history occurred during the dinosaur era, leading to the eradication of 75% of species on Earth. The Thylacine wallaby is a long-lost relative of today's kangaroo, but they had a hidden superpower, night vision. That's why they were mostly active at night. They were 3 feet tall and fed on grass, fruit leaves, and other plants. Wallabies lived in grassy areas near swamps and other water bodies, but not for long. By the 19th century, their numbers had gone down, bringing them to the edge of extinction. Only 14 wallabies had been left in the wild by 1920. A rescue mission was launched. They tried to capture the last 14 animals to protect them. But the situation got out of control and 10 wallabies lost their lives. The 4 remaining ones were transferred to a special facility, and in 1935, the last animal passed away. Only one picture of the Thylacine wallaby is left now. There were reports of the animal's sightings after that, but no proof was shown, and the creature was officially declared extinct in the 70s. Short-faced bears were a unique species that lived in North America, particularly Alaska. It was a massive bear, weighing around 1,500 pounds. When standing on its hind legs, it was around 12 feet tall, a whole foot taller than today's biggest beast in this family, the polar bear. This animal was different from today's bears because almost all of them are omnivores, except for polar bears. But this monster was solely carnivorous, which was the reason for their extinction. During the end of the Ice Age, many herbivores were gone, and those bears did not have enough food to survive. They were the Usain Bolt of the bear world, the fastest Bruins to have ever lived, reaching a top speed of 40 miles per hour, which is 5 miles faster than grizzlies. There are around 400 million pigeons in the world now. Some time ago, in America, a species of birds called passenger pigeons were abundant throughout the country, especially in the eastern forests. There were more than 1 billion of them, but they went from 1 billion to 0 in a few years. They had small heads and necks, but long tails and wings and strong breast muscles that allowed them to fly super long distances. The last passenger pigeon passed away in captivity in 1914. It was named Martha. With that, the ecosystem in the U.S. has never seen this bird again. Now, elks are enormous animals, but they look tiny when you compare them to long-gone Irish elks. That elk was around 7 feet tall at the shoulder with a humongous antler of 12 feet. Today, elk are only 4.5 feet tall at the shoulder and have around 4-foot-long antlers. Despite its name, this elk was found all over the world, from Asia to Europe. It got its name because, in Ireland near Dublin, researchers found a perfectly preserved specimen. Since then, it's been called the Irish elk. The last one passed away in Ireland. The main reason for their disappearance was their inability to adapt to changes. When the Ice Age ended, the elk could not survive and became extinct. Now, somewhere deep in the forests of Costa Rica lives the interesting-looking golden toad. It was discovered in 1966 in one particular spot where all toads would gather to mate. In 1967, a large population of this golden nugget was noted in that same spot. But the following year, only 10 to 11 toads were seen, and the year after that, in 1968, only one lonely male toad showed up at the spot. For years, there were searches for golden toads. In 2004, the toads were officially declared extinct. Humans were not responsible this time. The drought in the area in the 80s had a significant impact on the toads. Still, the last straw was the arrival of a new fungal species that caused the animal's skin to thicken, eventually leading to the toad passing away. This chytrid fungus is responsible for the extinction of more than 90 frog and amphibian species, becoming one of the biggest threats to their lives. Now, Canada is a very cold country, no surprise there, and nobody would expect tropical birds like parrots to live there. However, there was a parrot species that lived in America and some parts of Canada. I'm talking about the Carolina parakeet. Those were truly beautiful birds with orange-yellowish heads and green bodies. Their favorite rest spots were big trees alongside rivers. This parrot's favorite food was cocklebur seeds, which are poisonous to us, but the bird had no problem eating them. Also, they used the dangerous cockleburrs as a defense mechanism. After they ingested loads of them, their meat became poisonous, and predators do not enjoy eating toxic birds. Carolina parakeets were abundant, there were millions of them. But since the Ice Age, their numbers had been gradually going down because of natural reasons, mainly temperature. By 1935, no such parakeets were left in the wild. Today's African lion had a much more prominent and notorious cousin, the Barbary lion. Those cats were mentioned in many famous old books. They were described as mean, terrifying beasts. It's believed that they were the largest lion species ever. Those big cats weighed around 600 pounds and were 9 feet from the head to tail. Unfortunately, this lion was declared extinct in the 90s due to many factors. Today, we only have one photo of this animal taken from a plane. Paradise parrots were native to Australia. They were genuinely amazing birds with captivating colors. What was unique about them was their nesting habits. They only nested in termite mounds. This parrot was always on the edge of extinction, and the reason for that is still unknown. Mice, rats, and other animals also hunted them, and it added fuel to the fire. The last bird was spotted in the year 1972. Since then, paradise parrots have only been seen in museums. The Gulf of Mexico was once home to Caribbean monk seals. This species of seals enjoyed spending time in the warm subtropical climate of the Caribbean. Most of the time, they were found near reefs and islands, foraging for food. Like most of us, they also loved sandy beaches and were usually seen in groups of 100 seals, resting before the next adventure. In the year 1886, monk seals were declared extinct. You can still see this animal in 2 museums. Both are located in the UK. As we all know, zebras have black and white stripes. But once, a zebra species had only half the body covered with brown and white stripes. The rest was just brown, and the belly was white. It was called the quagga. They lived in the southern part of Africa in grass fields and wet pastures, like today's zebras, and ate grass and other plants. The last quagga perished in 1888, but not all hope is lost. Today, extensive research is being done to bring this animal back into the wild. Australia is home to many outlandish animals, but the craziest ones are probably gastric-brooding frogs. This species is not like your ordinary frog that lays eggs. They hatch their young inside their stomach and give birth by vomiting around 25 fully formed young frogs. Sometimes their stomach becomes so bloated that they have to breathe through their skin. 2 species of this frog were discovered in the northern and southern parts of Australia in the 1970s by Mike Taylor. A decade after their discovery, both species are gone. The main reason for their extinction is the chytrid fungus. Luckily for them, they're also part of a de-extinction program that's putting serious efforts into bringing them back into the wild.
The giant shark that terrorized the oceans some 20 million years ago. For 13 million years, this 60-ton beast dominated the warm waters of our planet. Though, some believe that the Meg still lives in the most remote and deepest parts of the ocean. It's a hot summer day. It seems only logical to go for a swim in the sea. You're floating on your back, completely relaxed. Your eyes are closed. Your breath is even. Water's pleasantly cool around your body. A light breeze touches your face. You feel calm enough to doze off. Suddenly, something bumps into your leg. Yanked out of your half-slumber, you begin to flail until you're face-to-face with the invisible danger. Luckily, all you spot is a couple of easily recognizable fins and cute smiley snouts. Phew, just dolphins. Guess you're lucky to meet them in the wild. These amazing creatures are so close, you can touch them. You've heard people say dolphins' skin feels rubbery, but to your mind, it's more like the inner part of a hard-boiled egg. One of the animals is so close to you that its salty smell fills your nostrils. You know, though, that dolphins don't have sweat glands. It means they don't sweat and are pretty much odorless. The smell you sense comes from the water they swim in. The largest and most ferocious predator to ever haunt the oceans, the Megalodon shark dominated the seas for centuries before coming extinct millions of years ago. However, scientists managed to discover very few remnants of the giant shark. Everything we know about the great beast we've learned thanks to fossils of its giant teeth, which are just about the size of the average human hand. A megalodon skeleton has never been discovered. Shark skeletons are made mostly of cartilage, meaning that they decompose quickly. Luckily, sharks continuously shed and regrow teeth throughout their lives. One shark can go through 40,000 teeth in a single lifetime. Scientists have managed to study different types of shark species based on their teeth alone. The megalodon shark had around 276 teeth. When they fell out, those teeth landed in the seabed where they stayed for millions of years, fossilizing. Scientists found those teeth, and they're the only real record we have of the megalodon's existence. Megalodon teeth have been discovered all over the world. It means that unlike other marine animals of its time, the megalodon was intercontinental. Even today, most sharks and marine animals tend to stick to one sea or ocean. The megalodon shark swam freely around the world, moving between tropical and subtropical waters. Megalodon teeth have been found in every continent apart from the freezing cold waters of Antarctica. When a megalodon makes a starring appearance in a movie or TV show, it's portrayed to look like a giant version of a great white shark. Scientists previously believed that the megalodon and the great white shark both descended from one common ancestor. Still, it's not true. In fact, it's more likely that the megalodon was the arch-enemy of the great white shark's ancestor, the broad-toothed mako shark. That means Megalodon wouldn't have looked so similar to the great white after all. In reality, the Megalodon would have a shorter nose than the great white, along with longer pectoral fins to give the giant shark a stockier and more threatening build. They both had an excellent sense of smell though, so even in prehistoric times, it wasn't a good idea to go swimming with a chunk of raw meat in hand. And it certainly isn't safe now. Whether the Meg's hiding somewhere in the depths, which some still believe is true, or it's gone forever, younger cousins will still be there waiting. Also, both of them like to go after big marine mammals, so they would certainly have things to do together. That is, until the Meg got moody and accidentally ate its friend. You never know. These guys had a different hunting style. Great whites prefer to dive straight towards their prey and find its softest spot, like exposed legs or underbelly. Sometimes, an entire tooth would be found embedded in a bone of some bigger animal, such as a whale. Without the main parts they use for swimming, poor sea animals were then helpless and unable to escape. Yet whales were just a smaller part of Megalodon's diet. Seals, sea cows, squids, dolphins, other sharks. The good old Meg probably wouldn't say no to some random school of smaller fish swimming into its mouth either. Nothing better than a good snack after a big tasty dinner. Even those giant turtles weren't safe with their thick shells. The Meg probably took them as a dare challenge on a daily basis. Scientists have used computer simulations to try and work out the hunting style of the ancient shark. Using this technology, scientists have discovered that the Megalodon's attack style was very different from that of modern-day sharks. Modern sharks dive straight for their prey's most vulnerable spot, for example, the soft underbelly of a seal. The Megalodon's teeth were uniquely suited to biting through tougher areas of cartilage. So, evidence suggests that a Megalodon would first chew the tougher fins of their prey, rendering them unable to swim away before launching into their final attack. Some people believe that the Megalodon is still alive today, lurking at the depths of the ocean's waters. But it's unlikely to be true. Megalodons are a warm water species, which means they would be unable to survive in the cold waters of the deep ocean. Most of the Megalodon's potential prey live in shallower waters, meaning there would be very little for the Megalodon to eat at deep sea level. Simply put, if there was an animal as big as the Megalodon still living today, we would have spotted it by now. It is unlikely that you'll run into a Meg though. The sharks, like us, preferred warm coastal waters. Deep ocean living would be too cold for the beasts, and food would be scarce. Their entire bodies would also have to evolve to avoid being squished by the enormous water pressure down there. It's unlikely they're still around, but not impossible. Some good news if you do run into one is that the shark is pretty unlikely to eat you. You are way too small a meal for the Megalodon, even if you have a couple of friends with you. This guy eats whales that are over 50 feet long. If you're having a beach party though, it's a different story. In a beach full of swimmers, The shark very well might creep up, scooping several humans into its giant mouth without even chewing. The fearsome name Megalodon comes from two Greek words, megas, meaning big, and odont, meaning tooth. Combined, they mean big tooth, and it certainly lives up to its name. Just one of its chompers is the same size as a human head. It had 276 humongous teeth in total, across 5 terrifying rows. In all of history, only a couple of saber-toothed cats and the T-Rex had consistently bigger teeth. Now that's a showdown I'd like to watch. The Megalodon vanished millions of years ago, leaving only huge teeth to be found by modern archaeologists. They literally disappeared with very few traces left. Scientists believe that over time, deep sea levels dropped and the ocean's temperature went down rapidly. Over a third of all marine life was wiped out as the oceans cooled and the number of animals at the bottom of the food chain plummeted. This had a catastrophic effect on the hungry predators at the top. Sorry guys. It became way too cold for these sun-loving sharks too, which made it difficult for them to reproduce since they gave birth in warm waters. The Megalodon is usually described as a sort of great white shark, but this is just a common myth. In fact, the ancestors of today's great white existed at the same time as the Meg, but they weren't best buddies and were even in competition with each other. The great white shark was a better hunter using its smaller size and agility to snap up the Meg's prey quickly. They were also known to eat Meg pups, who were only half their size. This didn't exactly help the whole extinction thing. While a great white was no match for an adult Meg in a head-to-head fight, they sure weren't scared of stealing their food. This only left the bigger fish and whales for the Meg, but its food supplies began to run out as whales swam to the cooler new seas. The whales adapted to prefer the colder temperatures, leaving our friend the Meg behind. The Megalodons either starved or were frozen into extinction by the Ice Age. Rather than a great white, the Megalodon is more like a modern bull shark. It had a short snout, a flat lower jaw, and huge pectoral fins to support its massive weight and size. As scary as they are, these sharks were actually caring family guys. Several Megalodon nursery areas have been discovered in Florida, Maryland, and Panama. They gave birth to their young in shallow water environments. We know this from discovering loads of tiny Megalodon teeth found in these areas. I wonder if they had nannies too.
The Meg, aka Megalodon, roamed the oceans long after dinosaurs were wiped out by the Great Meteorite. It was one of the largest and most dangerous hunters that have ever lived on Earth, as well as the biggest shark. But then, about 3.6 million years ago, the last of its kind disappeared from our planet, leaving only huge teeth for modern archaeologists to keep finding. There are a few theories about why it could have happened, but scientists might have found the true reason. The Megalodon, which means big tooth, was the largest shark ever to exist. It reportedly lived around 20 to 3.6 million years ago and was truly enormous. Its bite was more powerful than that of a T-Rex, and likely any other powerful predator that has ever roamed this planet. It's probably not surprising since this marine creature had extremely strong jaws that could span from 9 to 10 feet wide. That's enough to swallow 2 grown-up people side by side. The jaws were also lined with 276 teeth, and they reached 7 inches in length. That's as long as a small hedgehog. Once these teeth got worn down, the shark got rid of them and grew new ones. Such large sedated teeth helped the Meg to eat meat easily. The shark itself could grow up to 59 feet long. That's twice the length of a London double-decker bus. The animal was also pretty heavy. While a fully grown T-Rex weighed about 8 tons, the weight of a large Megalodon could be more than 30 tons. With no competitors, the enormous shark was the real king of the oceans. It hunted other sharks, large fish, and even whales. Then why did such a magnificent creature disappear from the face of the Earth? The previous theories mentioned the great white shark. The Megalodon is usually described as some gigantic version of this marine animal. And this is a common mistake made because most people think these creatures were related. But in reality, the Meg looked more like a modern bull shark. Its snout was snout, its lower jaw was rather flat, and long and massive pectoral fins supported the animal's weight. But what's more important, the ancestors of today's great whites existed at the same time as the Megalodon. Now, with great size comes great clumsiness. And although the Meg was huge and powerful, it was also not as nimble as smaller and quicker great white sharks. Great whites could have rivaled a megalodon for food, and were often more successful hunters thanks to their agility. They couldn't fight the meg openly, but were fast enough to steal its food. So according to this theory, the only food left for the megalodon were whales and equally big marine animals. Grown-up megs could easily catch such beasts, but their offspring were much smaller and more vulnerable than their parents. Could smaller sharks have used this to their advantage? Maybe while megasharks were still little, they became a meal for great whites, as well as bull and tiger sharks. Even at those times, a great white shark could reach the length of 20 feet, while a megalodon kid was definitely smaller. But even if there had been no open confrontation between young megalodons and smaller grown-up sharks, meg kids wouldn't have been able to find food for themselves to grow to adulthood. The reason is the same. The population of other sharks was growing, and they were rivaling each other and the meg for convenient food. The more great whites and other sharks appeared in the oceans, the less food remained for young monster sharks. Eventually, they probably starved. But it's just one of the theories that try to explain why the meg went extinct, and here's another one. A new study has shown that the meg was most likely a warm-blooded predator able to regulate its body temperature, and that might have been the reason why this species disappeared with time. Scientists analyzed isotopes of the tooth enamel of the megalodon and concluded that the animal could easily maintain a body temperature that was around 13 degrees F warmer than the temperature of the surrounding water. Such a temperature difference is much greater than what other sharks living at the same time as the meg had, and it's large enough for the ancient predator to be classified as warm-blooded. These days, most fish are cold-blooded. Their body temperature is the same as the surrounding water, but some sharks, like mackerel sharks, keep the temperature of all parts of their bodies a bit warmer than the surrounding water. But it doesn't make them completely warm-blooded because they simply store heat generated by their muscles. And in mammals, body temperature is regulated by a special region of the brain called the hypothalamus. Anyway, the meg's warmer body allowed the animal to move faster, deal with cold water better, and spread out all over the world. But eventually, it might have led to a disaster. The megalodon lived during the Pliocene epoch, pronunciation. It began approximately 5.3 million years ago and finished 2.5 million years ago. During that period, global cooling occurred. It also caused the changes in sea level, which the megalodon probably didn't survive. The main problem for the predator was to maintain an energy level allowing its body temperature to remain elevated. But to do it, the animal had to eat a lot, and I mean it. But it was a challenging task in a time of changing marine ecosystems, and while competing with newcomers, such as the great white shark. If this theory is true, then the amount of energy the meg had to use to remain warm could have contributed to its extinction. This new information is very important to us. It shows that many marine predators in modern oceans might be experiencing the effects of ongoing climate change too. By the way, have you heard that there have been several cases when people were sure they had seen the meg? Or at least some similar extremely large monsters. And these sightings happened relatively recently. For example, in July 1916, the New Jersey coast of the US was terrified by a series of shark attacks. They happened during an oppressive heat wave when hundreds of beachgoers tried to find shelter from the heat near the water. People described the culprit that had caused all that havoc as a giant shark, much bigger than any regular one. Since then, scientists have been debating which shark species was involved in those accidents. The most popular guesses have been the bull shark and the great white. A picture of a huge shark roaming the Pacific Ocean not far from Guadalupe Island appeared in 1999. The creature was nicknamed Deep Blue. It could be distinguished from others by a wavy pattern separating its gray back and white belly. But even though some people claimed it could be the infamous Megalodon, experts came to the conclusion it was a female white shark, the largest ever seen. The average length of a male white shark is 11 to 13 feet. Females are bigger, up to 15 or 16 feet, but Deep Blue reached more than 20 feet in length. No wonder people were confused. For the last time, Deep Blue was spotted in 2013 near the western coast of Mexico's Baja California. But look, there's another jumbo shark, and you can meet it in any part of the world. The largest specimens can reach 40 feet long and weigh about 5 or even 6 tons. Could it be, if not the Megalodon itself, but one of its relatives? Again, a wrong guess. That's the basking shark. This animal prefers subpolar seas. with temperatures not higher than 58 degrees F, even though some of these animals do migrate to warmer places. Like whale sharks, basking sharks are harmless and don't attack snorkelers or divers. These creatures have loads of small teeth, but they don't use them when feeding. Instead, they swim with their huge mouths open and swallow plankton. A grown-up basking shark can filter nearly 2,000 tons of water per hour.
A loud growl off in the distance makes you sprint even faster through the jungle. You run past rocks and bamboo without even looking where you're going. But you're not running away. You're running right at it. You slap yourself in the face to wake up. In front of you is a giant footprint of an ape-like creature. That's one big Bigfoot. It's not human, that's obvious. And there isn't a gorilla. There aren't any gorillas native to southern China. Is someone playing a prank on you? Here, in the middle of the jungle? Not likely. You keep walking, hacking away pesky vines and leaves. It's a scorching hot day, and you're sweating all over. You take a sip of water every 5 minutes, then every 5 seconds, and worse. Your skin is apparently the hottest new buffet around. Hundreds of hungry customers, well, mosquitoes, buzz around waiting for a second helping. It's almost sunset now, but you're determined to find your prize. Suddenly, a large shadow blocks out the sun. Whatever it is, that thing's huge. You freeze. You're cold and afraid. Your heart is racing. Should you turn around? There's a Goliath of an ape behind you. A footprint that big. What else were you expecting? It towers over you, easily 10 feet tall, and looks at you. Is it curious or hungry? Neither seems like great options. It would look so impressive if you weren't scared out of your mind. No sudden moves. It'll either run away or make you unrecognizable if any search party comes around looking for you. You slowly take out your camera to snap some pictures of it. So far, so good. It's just watching you do your thing. But as you click, the flash hits it right in the eyes and it runs off into the depths of the jungle. You just had to switch the setting to automatic, didn't you? That ape you just saw was this huge beast. It existed until 300,000 years ago and might have weighed up to 1,000 pounds. Researchers think this ape went extinct, not because it froze or anything, but because it couldn't adapt to its new environment. Pretty much everything around it started to disappear, including its food, mostly fruits and bamboo. It's so awesome. Let's call it Giganto. These monsters weren't climbing up trees. They didn't have to. They could just reach up and grab whatever they wanted. Their closest relatives, orangutans, were able to adapt to new conditions of the Ice Age by expanding their diet and trying new things, like bamboo hot dogs and orangutan skydiving. Only kidding. By studying the shape of its jaw and teeth, scientists are pretty sure it was a herbivore. So don't worry. These apes aren't going to think you look like a mid-morning snack. But that doesn't mean they'll be picking daisies while you stand nearby snapping some selfies. A powerful gorilla can lift around 20 times its own body weight, which means that it's around 10 times stronger than a human. And on average, a gorilla weighs somewhere around 300 pounds. You don't need to do the math to know not to mess with these awesome creatures. They can take down a banana tree without even breaking a sweat, and could probably bench about 5 times the world record. Giganto would tear it up in the Olympics, literally. You're still in shock, even though a snake is slithering right up your arm. You pull yourself back together and brush it off. You've already had your fill of freaked out for the day. A snake doesn't even make you flinch. Did you really come face to face with an actual Giganto? Maybe the last of its kind? You race back to your colleagues and they can't believe it. The next day, you gather some of the more brave researchers and head back out into the jungle. Everything looks so peaceful. You and your team are trekking through a panda's paradise. Bamboo as far as the eye can see. But today, you're on the lookout for Panda's big bad grandpa. If it was a Giganto you saw that fateful day, chances are it'd love this bamboo grove. In such a lush environment, competition for the best real estate could be fierce. And pandas aren't exactly scared. Nobody knows how peaceful Giganto was, but even herbivores get angry. You retrace your steps to the same spot where you encountered the creature the other day. Nothing, not a single clue. Then, footprints. Bingo! They might not be Gigantos, but your instincts tell you to follow them anyway. You reach a vine-covered cave next to a small stream. A lot of the bamboo branches have bite marks around the edges, large or small. Most wild animals don't really like sleeping out in the open. It's time to check out that cave. The intriguing thing is that this cave looks like it was built from the ground up. Did this creature evolve enough to figure out how to build a DIY home? Other animals do. Beavers have a built-in instinct to construct dams and rivers. That's how they stay safe, and that's where they store their food. Plus, the dam lets them chill all day in their improvised pool. Did Giganto really build this thing? You and your team approach the cave cautiously. You don't know if it's in there sleeping, or maybe a dozen of them are watching you all, waiting for you to enter. Maybe it's out gathering food and only comes back at night. You can definitely hear something, but it's not the sound of a fierce creature. It sounds more like a beep. You tiptoe in and see your watch, the one you dropped when you first saw Giganto. Out of nowhere, you feel a rumble. Earthquake! No, it's deeper. It sounds emotional. It's a growl. You turn and see Giganto at the mouth of the cave, standing tall like a boss. After a minute of direct eye contact, it runs off again into the jungle. This time, though, you caught the whole thing on your phone. A couple of shares later, you're the proud owner of the most viral video of all time. The internet loses its head. Giganto's real. The real-life King Kong walks among us. And then the real nightmare begins. Thousands of tourists descend on the quiet jungle, looking for their very own glimpse of Giganto. Hotels, restaurants, tours, new roads. It's not a quiet jungle for long. Hollywood's having issues. It already made a bunch of huge ape movies. Now it turns out the real one's way cooler than their wildest dreams. The best ape movie ever turns out to be a documentary about Giganto. Unlike other creatures coming out of the shadows, a Giganto comeback is definitely not as dangerous as, say, if a Megalodon showed up. Remember Meg? The biggest shark and marine predator to ever roam the oceans? A shark big enough to take a bite out of a boat. Not exactly great for the fishing industry. Or what if the Titanoboa came back to life? A 40-foot giant constrictor? A vicious snake the length of 2 giraffes? At least Giganto can't swallow you whole. Giganto would probably end up being good for conservation movements, another awesome part of nature that we need to protect. I wouldn't be surprised if Giganto became China's new national animal. Move aside, panda. And most probably, they wouldn't be a threat to us, just the opposite. Humans are wiping out their territory daily. Who knows? Gigantos might start living closer to rural villages, maybe even interacting with humans. But if they get protection, these big apes might just survive. Just like pandas, these animals have a very limited diet and would need constant observation if we want their numbers to grow. They might even unlock clues of our past. Homo sapiens had many other descendants that simply vanished or weren't strong enough to survive and coexist. We don't know how advanced these creatures were compared to their counterparts. Could they use tools? Communicate? We can finally find out.
Welcome, dear listeners, to a journey back in time, to a moment that forever altered the course of our planet's history. Picture this, a serene Earth where mighty dinosaurs roamed freely, ruling every corner of the land, from the densest jungles to the vast open plains. Their thunderous footsteps echoed as a testament to their reign, a reign that seemed unending. But the universe, in its infinite vastness, had other plans. Enter the Chicxulub incident. A name that might sound unfamiliar to some, but its impact, both literal and metaphorical, is deeply etched into the very fabric of our planet. This wasn't just any cosmic event, it was a cataclysm, a celestial sledgehammer that came hurtling from the abyss of space. Imagine a rock, not just any rock, but one the size of Mount Everest, weighing trillions of tons, racing towards Earth with a speed so immense that it could traverse from New York to Anchorage faster than one could prepare a morning breakfast. This monstrous entity, dear listeners, was destined to collide with our planet, and when it didn't just make a dent. It reshaped life as it was known. The Chicxulub incident wasn't merely an event, it was a turning point, a moment where the rulers of the Earth, the mighty dinosaurs, faced an adversary so powerful that it brought their long-standing dominion to a tragic end. But why is this incident so significant? As we journey through the annals of time, retracing the steps of the Chicxulub incident, we find ourselves drawn to a specific location on our planet, a place that today is known for its pristine beaches, vibrant culture, and the allure of ancient civilizations. Yes, dear listeners, we're talking about modern-day Mexico, specifically the Yucatan Peninsula. But let's rewind the clock back to that fateful day and paint a picture quite different from the holiday destination we know today. The Yucatan Peninsula, a region now synonymous with Cancun's turquoise waters and Mayan ruins, was the epicenter of this cosmic catastrophe. As the colossal asteroid approached, it wasn't heading for some remote, uninhabited corner of the Earth. No, it was on a direct collision course with what is now the heart of Mexico. And then, with a force beyond comprehension, it struck. The very ground trembled, and the skies lit up as if a second sun had dawned. The vast ocean waters that covered the Yucatan Peninsula could do little to cushion the blow. Instead, they became part of the cataclysm, amplifying the devastation. The immediate aftermath was nothing short of apocalyptic. The impact was so immense that it pierced through the Earth's crust, releasing energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. The skies were set ablaze, and a shockwave of unimaginable proportions rippled across the globe. The serene waters of the Yucatan were violently displaced, giving rise to tsunamis that towered as high as the Statue of Liberty, rushing forth to distant shores with wrathful intent. But this was just the beginning. The Earth, our home, was in turmoil. The very fabric of the environment was being rewritten in a matter of moments. The immediate vicinity of the Yucatan Peninsula was ground zero, but the shockwaves of the impact did not discriminate. They traveled with relentless fury, reaching even the most remote corners of our planet. The vast oceans, which cover over 70% of the Earth's surface, became conduits for one of the most terrifying phenomena, tsunamis. These weren't just regular tidal waves, they were behemoths, rising with such might and speed that coastlines thousands of miles away felt their wrath. From the coasts of Africa to the distant shores of Asia, no coastal region was spared from these monstrous waves. But the water wasn't the only element in turmoil. The very ground beneath our feet quaked. Earthquakes of magnitudes previously thought impossible shook the planet. Continents trembled, and landscapes transformed as the Earth's crust contorted under the immense stress. And as if the tsunamis and earthquakes weren't devastating enough, the Earth's fiery belly responded in kind. Volcanoes, those majestic mountains that house molten fury, erupted in synchrony. From the towering peaks of the Andes to the volcanic islands of the Pacific, plumes of ash and rivers of lava painted the skies and lands with their scorching palette. It's hard to fathom, isn't it? A single moment, a solitary event, triggering a cascade of cataclysms that touched every corner of our globe. The Chicxulub incident wasn't just an asteroid impact, it was a global reset button, a testament to the interconnectedness of our planet's systems. As we venture further into this narrative, we'll delve into the long-term consequences of these global effects and how they set the stage for a new chapter in Earth's ever-evolving story. Navigating through the immediate aftermath of the Chicxulub impact, we've witnessed the sheer magnitude of its global effects. But dear listeners, the story doesn't end there. The Earth, having faced tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions, was now on the brink of another profound transformation. As we journey forward, let's delve into the chilling phase that followed the initial chaos, a period often referred to as the Long Winter. In the wake of the impact and subsequent volcanic eruptions, the skies began to change. A thick, impenetrable cloud of ash and soot enveloped our planet. This wasn't just a temporary darkening. It was as if the Earth had donned a shroud, blocking out the life-giving rays of the sun. Day turned into night, and what followed was a darkness that persisted not for days, not for weeks, but for years. Without the warmth and light of the sun, temperatures plummeted. The once balmy and temperate regions faced a cold they had never known. Ice began to form, and snow covered landscapes that had never witnessed a winter. The Earth, in essence, was plunged into an unending night, a winter that seemed eternal. But the cold and darkness were just part of this grim equation. The atmosphere, now laden with sulfur, released from the impact site and volcanic eruptions, gave rise to a new menace, sulfuric acid rain. This wasn't the gentle rain that nourishes the soil. It was acidic, corrosive, and deadly. Forests withered, oceans acidified, and the very fabric of life on Earth was under siege. This prolonged period of darkness and cold, combined with the toxic rain, led to catastrophic climate changes. Ecosystems collapsed, food chains were disrupted, and many species, already reeling from the immediate aftermath of the impact, faced the grim prospect of extinction. It's a somber chapter in our planet's history, isn't it? A time when life itself hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of oblivion. Emerging from the chilling embrace of the long winter, one might wonder, how do we, millennia later, piece together the events of this cataclysmic incident? How do we sift through the sands of time to uncover the evidence of such a monumental event? The answer, dear listeners, lies hidden in the very fabric of our planet, waiting to be deciphered by those with a keen eye and insatiable curiosity. Iridium, a rare metal on Earth but abundant in asteroids, serves as a silent witness to the celestial collision. In the late 20th century, scientists made a startling discovery. They found a thin layer of clay in rock formations around the world, a layer unusually rich in iridium. This iridium-rich layer, often referred to as the iridium anomaly, was a global phenomenon, found in diverse locations from Italy to New Zealand. Such a widespread presence of this rare metal could only point to one conclusion: a massive asteroid impact. But iridium was just one piece of the puzzle. The rock layers themselves held more secrets. Beneath the iridium-rich layer, scientists found a distinct boundary, often termed the Cretaceous-Paleogene or KPG boundary. This boundary marked a stark difference in the fossils present above and below it. The layers below were teeming with diverse life forms, including our colossal friends, the dinosaurs. However, the layers above showed a significant decline in biodiversity, a testament to the mass extinction that followed the impact. Furthermore, in the vicinity of the Yucatan Peninsula, geologists uncovered a vast, semicircular structure, a scar etched into the Earth's crust. This was the Chicxulub crater, the very site of the asteroid's impact. Spanning over 150 kilometers in diameter and buried beneath layers of sediment, this crater was the smoking gun, the undeniable proof of the asteroid's collision with Earth. Piecing together the iridium anomaly, the KPG boundary, and the Chicxulub crater, a coherent narrative emerged. A story of a massive asteroid, its fateful collision with Earth, and the profound transformations that ensued. It's awe-inspiring, isn't it? How the Earth, in its silent wisdom, preserves the tales of its past, waiting for us to uncover and understand. With the evidence of the asteroid's impact firmly established, we are led to a poignant chapter in Earth's narrative. The immediate effects of the Chicxulub impact were undeniably catastrophic, but the ripples of this event extended far beyond the initial chaos, shaping the very trajectory of life on our planet. The dinosaurs, those magnificent creatures that had ruled the Earth for over 160 million years, found themselves in a world transformed. The prolonged darkness, plummeting temperatures, and acid rains created an environment hostile to these giants. Food sources dwindled as plants, the base of many food chains, struggled to survive without sunlight. Herbivorous dinosaurs, deprived of their primary food source, faced starvation. And as they perished, the carnivores that relied on them for sustenance were similarly affected. It was a domino effect, a cascading collapse of ecosystems. But it wasn't just the dinosaurs. Many marine species, especially those reliant on photosynthetic algae, faced extinction as the oceans acidified and the sun's rays were obscured. On land, the lush forests of ferns and palms gave way to fungi, which thrived on the decaying organic matter. The skies, once ruled by pterosaurs, saw a decline in these winged wonders. In total, it's estimated that nearly 75% of Earth's species were wiped out in this mass extinction event. The world, in essence, had hit a reset button. Yet, in the face of such overwhelming odds, life persisted. New species emerged to fill the voids left by the extinct ones. Mammals, which had previously lived in the shadows of the dinosaurs, began to diversify and expand their territories. The world was undergoing a transformation, setting the stage for the rise of new dominant species, including, eventually, our own. The primary evidence of the asteroid impact, as we've discussed, is compelling. The iridium anomaly, the KPG boundary, and the Chicxulub crater together paint a vivid picture. However, the sheer magnitude of the extinction event has led scientists to ponder: was the asteroid impact the sole culprit, Or were there other concurrent factors at play? One such theory posits that massive volcanic eruptions in the Deccan Traps, located in present-day India, played a significant role. These eruptions, spanning thousands of years, released vast amounts of lava and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Some scientists argue that this could have led to significant climate changes, weakening ecosystems even before the asteroid's impact. Another area of intrigue is the rapidity of the extinction event. While the immediate aftermath of the impact was undoubtedly catastrophic, there's debate over how quickly the extinction unfolded. Did it happen in a matter of months, years, or was it spread over millennia? Furthermore, while the extinction of the dinosaurs is a central focus, there's curiosity about the survivors. Why did certain species like crocodiles and certain birds endure while others perished? What unique adaptations or circumstances allowed them to navigate this altered world? The Chicxulub incident, despite being one of the most studied events in Earth's history, remains a treasure trove of mysteries. Each discovery, each new piece of evidence, adds a layer to our understanding, but also opens the door to more questions. As we delve deeper into the intricacies and enigmas of the Chicxulub incident, it becomes imperative to transport ourselves back in time to truly grasp the magnitude of the event. To understand the impact and its profound consequences, we must first immerse ourselves in the world as it was. The Earth of this bygone era was a realm of contrasts and wonders. The continents, while somewhat recognizable, were positioned differently than they are today. Massive land masses were in motion, slowly drifting and reshaping the face of the planet. The climate was warmer, with no polar ice caps, and sea levels were higher, creating vast inland seas that bisected continents. The landscapes were dominated by lush, dense forests of ferns, conifers, and early flowering plants. These verdant expanses were a cacophony of life, teeming with creatures both familiar and alien to our modern eyes. Rivers meandered through these landscapes, nurturing the ecosystems and providing sustenance to a plethora of species. But it was the inhabitants of this world that truly captured the imagination. The dinosaurs, in all their majestic glory, ruled the land. From the towering, long-necked sauropods to the fierce and agile theropods, these creatures were the undisputed monarchs of their domains. The skies were patrolled by pterosaurs, while the oceans brimmed with marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. Yet, this vibrant world was also marked by its dynamics and interactions. Predators and prey engaged in a perpetual dance of survival. Herds of herbivores migrated in search of fresh pastures, while carnivores stalked the shadows, awaiting opportunities. The Earth was alive, pulsating with energy and life. It's essential to immerse ourselves in this world, to truly appreciate the gravity of the Chicxulub incident. For it was this thriving, dynamic Earth that stood on the brink of one of the most significant events in its history. With the vibrant tableau of Earth 66 million years ago firmly etched in our minds, we find ourselves at a pivotal juncture in this narrative. The world was teeming with life, ecosystems were flourishing, and the dance of predator and prey played out against the backdrop of lush landscapes. But, unbeknownst to the inhabitants of this world, a shadow loomed in the vastness of space. High above the Earth, in the cold, dark expanse of space, a massive rock, a remnant from the early solar system, was on a collision course. This meteorite, spanning several kilometers in diameter, had been hurtling through space for eons. Its trajectory, influenced by gravitational forces and cosmic events, was now aligned with our planet. As it neared Earth, it became a brilliant streak in the sky, a fiery harbinger of the impending doom. Its speed was incomprehensible, racing towards the planet at over 20 kilometers per second. To any observer on the ground, it would have appeared as a bright, rapidly growing speck, its luminosity outshining even the brightest stars. The atmosphere, that protective blanket enveloping our planet, was the first to feel the meteorite's wrath. As the rock entered the upper layers, it began to compress and superheat the air in front of it, creating a shockwave and emitting intense radiation. The sky would have been set ablaze, turning day into night and night into a blinding, searing light. For the creatures below, these moments must have been filled with confusion and terror. The ground trembled, the air grew hot, and a deafening roar would have filled the atmosphere. Predators and prey alike would have paused, sensing the profound shift in their environment, their instincts signaling danger. And then, In a split second, the meteorite made contact. But this was no gentle touch. It was a violent, earth-shattering collision, the likes of which our planet had rarely seen. From the blinding brilliance of the meteorite's descent to the heart-stopping moment of impact, the Earth stood at the precipice of profound transformation. The serene landscapes and bustling ecosystems of just moments ago were about to be thrust into chaos. The moment the meteorite made contact with the Earth's surface, an explosion of unimaginable magnitude erupted. This wasn't just any explosion. It was an event releasing energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. The ground at the impact site vaporized instantly, creating a colossal crater and ejecting vast amounts of material into the atmosphere and beyond. Molten rock and debris rained down, setting vast swaths of land ablaze. But the explosion was just the beginning. The impact generated shockwaves that rippled through the Earth's crust, traveling at supersonic speeds. These shockwaves, like ripples on a pond, spread outwards from the impact site, causing the ground to shake and tremble. Mountains crumbled, forests were flattened, and entire landscapes were reshaped in the blink of an eye. And then came the tsunamis. The impact, having occurred in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, displaced vast amounts of ocean water. Towering waves, some reaching heights of several kilometers, were birthed from the epicenter of the collision. These tsunamis raced across the oceans with terrifying speed, reaching distant coastlines and inundating them with their wrathful surge. Coastal ecosystems, teeming with life, were obliterated, and the once tranquil shores bore witness to the ocean's fury. The world in those moments was unrecognizable. The serene beauty of just moments ago was replaced by a panorama of devastation. Fire, water, and earth converged in a symphony of destruction, reshaping the very fabric of the planet. The Earth, in its interconnected majesty, responded as a whole to this external trauma. The explosion at the impact site sent vast amounts of debris, molten rock, and superheated gases into the atmosphere. As these materials ascended, they began to cool and solidify, transforming into fiery balls of rock and metal. These fireballs, some as large as houses and others as small as grains of sand, rained down upon the Earth. This global meteor shower set forests aflame, ignited wildfires, and turned night into day with its blinding intensity. The skies were ablaze, and the once serene landscapes were now a canvas of fire and destruction. But the Earth's response wasn't limited to the skies. The shockwaves from the impact, having rippled through the crust, triggered seismic activities of unprecedented magnitudes. Earthquakes, some rivaling the most powerful ones ever recorded, shook the planet. These tremors were felt even in regions far removed from the impact site, causing landslides, opening chasms, and further destabilizing already traumatized ecosystems. And the oceans, having borne the initial brunt of the impact, were not done with their fury. The seismic activities, coupled with the displacement of water from the impact, gave rise to more tsunamis. These waves, while perhaps not as colossal as the initial ones, were still monstrous. They raced across ocean basins, reaching shores that had already been battered and bringing with them further devastation. The global consequences of the Chicxulub impact were a testament to the interconnectedness of our planet's systems. No corner of the Earth was untouched, no ecosystem left unscathed. It was a time of upheaval, a period where the very essence of life and the environment was put to the test. In the wake of the explosion, vast amounts of ash, soot, and debris were ejected into the atmosphere. Instead of settling quickly, this particulate matter formed a dense cloud that encircled the globe. This ash cloud acted as a veil, obscuring the sun's rays and casting the Earth into a prolonged period of darkness. Without sunlight, photosynthesis, the very process that sustains plant life, was severely hampered. Forests withered, grasslands became barren, and the primary producers in the food chain were crippled. This darkness, combined with the cooling effects of the ash cloud, led to a significant drop in global temperatures. The Earth, which had been a warm and temperate realm, was now facing conditions akin to a nuclear winter. Regions that had never known frost and snow were now blanketed in white, and the cold became a relentless adversary for the planet's inhabitants. But the challenges weren't limited to the land. The oceans, the cradles of life, faced their own set of trials. The ash and soot, combined with the sulfur released during the impact, led to acid rain. This rain, when it reached the oceans, caused a significant drop in pH levels, leading to ocean acidification. The delicate balance of marine ecosystems was disrupted. Calcifying organisms like corals and certain plankton species struggled to build their shells and skeletons. As these foundational species faced challenges, the entire oceanic food chain felt the ripple effects. From the tiniest plankton to the massive marine reptiles, the oceans were in turmoil. The long-term effects of the Chicxulub impact were a testament to the delicate balance of our planet's ecosystems. Even as the immediate chaos subsided, the challenges persisted, reshaping life and the environment in profound ways. Acid rain, as the name suggests, is precipitation with heightened levels of acidity. Following the Chicxulub impact, the atmosphere was laden with sulfur compounds, primarily released from the impact site and exacerbated by volcanic activities. When these sulfur compounds combined with water vapor in the atmosphere, they formed sulfuric acid, which then fell to the earth as acid rain. The oceans, vast and seemingly boundless, were not immune to this acidic onslaught. As the acid rain poured into the seas, it began to alter the very chemistry of the waters. The pH levels of the oceans dropped, leading to a phenomenon known as ocean acidification. This change, while seemingly minute, had profound implications for marine life. Many marine organisms, especially those at the base of the food chain, rely on the process of calcification to build their shells and exoskeletons. Organisms like plankton, corals, and mollusks extract calcium carbonate from the seawater to form these protective structures. However, in more acidic conditions, the availability of calcium carbonate diminishes, making it harder for these creatures to maintain and build their shells. The plight of these foundational species had a domino effect on the entire marine ecosystem. Plankton, the primary producers in the oceanic food chain, faced significant challenges. As their numbers dwindled, the species that relied on them for sustenance, from small fish to massive marine reptiles, felt the strain. Coral reefs, those vibrant underwater metropolises, faced bleaching and degradation, affecting the myriad species that called them home. The acid rain and its subsequent effects on the oceans serve as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of Earth's systems. A disruption in one area can have cascading effects, reshaping entire ecosystems and challenging the very fabric of life. Following the impact and the subsequent release of vast amounts of debris into the atmosphere, the Earth found itself shrouded in a dense cloud of ash and soot. This veil, while initially contributing to the planet's warming due to the greenhouse effect, eventually began to block out the sun's rays. The diminished sunlight, combined with the settling of the particulate matter, led to a significant drop in global temperatures. The Earth was entering a chilling phase, akin to a prolonged winter. Regions that had once basked in warmth and sunlight now faced prolonged periods of cold and darkness. Ice began to form in areas previously untouched by frost, and snow-covered landscapes became a common sight. This cooling had profound implications for the planet's ecosystems. Plants already struggling from the lack of sunlight found it challenging to cope with the cold. Many species, unable to adapt to these rapidly changing conditions, faced extinction. Yet, amidst this bleak landscape, stories of resilience emerged. Certain species, equipped with adaptations that allowed them to navigate this cooler world, began to thrive. Small mammals, with their ability to burrow and regulate body temperature, found niches in this altered ecosystem. Birds, descendants of the mighty dinosaurs, took to the skies, their lightweight bodies and endothermic nature giving them an edge. In the oceans, certain fish and marine reptiles, equipped with slow metabolic rates, managed to navigate the cooler waters and diminished food sources. These survivors, while perhaps not as majestic or dominant as their predecessors, were the harbingers of a new era. Their resilience and adaptability laid the foundation for the next chapter in Earth's evolutionary story. From the chilling aftermath of the Chicxulub impact and the resilient survivors that emerged, our narrative now takes a leap backward in time to a period even more ancient and profound. To truly grasp the significance of events like the Chicxulub impact, we must first understand the origins of our cosmic home. Let's embark on a journey to the very dawn of our solar system, to witness the birth of the sun and the genesis of the celestial dance that we are a part of. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, long before our Earth took shape, a colossal cloud of gas and dust, known as a molecular cloud, drifted silently. This cloud, rich in hydrogen and interspersed with heavier elements from ancient supernovae, was the primordial soup from which our solar system would emerge. Within this cloud, certain regions began to experience subtle gravitational perturbations, perhaps triggered by the shock waves from a nearby supernova or the tidal forces of neighboring galaxies. These perturbations set off a chain reaction. Parts of the cloud began to collapse inwards, drawn together by their own gravitational pull. As this material coalesced, it began to form a dense core, growing hotter and more pressurized with each passing moment. Around this core, the remaining gas and dust swirled, forming a protoplanetary disk. The stage was set for the birth of a star. In the heart of this collapsing cloud, temperatures and pressures reached a critical point. Nuclear fusion ignited, and the core began to shine brightly. This was the birth of our sun, a blazing beacon that would become the heart of our solar system. Its intense heat and light began to influence the surrounding protoplanetary disk, shaping and molding the materials within. The sun, in its fiery infancy, was both a creator and a destroyer. Its solar winds swept away lighter materials, while its gravitational pull orchestrated the dance of the remaining gas and dust. From this dance, the planets, including our Earth, would eventually emerge. Having marveled at the birth of our sun and the radiant heart of our solar system, our narrative now hones in on a specific celestial body, one that holds a special place in our hearts, our very own Earth. From the vast protoplanetary disk that swirled around the nascent sun, a unique and intricate process was set into motion, leading to the formation of our planet. In the early days of our solar system, the region that would become Earth was a chaotic battleground. Countless fragments, remnants from the protoplanetary disk, collided and coalesced. With each collision, these fragments, known as planetesimals, grew in size and mass. Over time, through countless impacts and mergers, a proto-Earth began to take shape. This young Earth was a far cry from the blue and green oasis we know today. It was a molten sphere, its surface dominated by lava and constantly bombarded by other celestial bodies. One such collision, with a Mars-sized object named Theia, is believed to have been so cataclysmic that it ejected a significant amount of material into space, eventually leading to the formation of our moon. As the frequency of these collisions decreased, the Earth began its cooling process. The surface, once a roiling sea of magma, started to solidify. This solidification process wasn't uniform. In certain regions, the crust formed rapidly, while in others, volcanic activity persisted, spewing lava and reshaping the landscape. Beneath this forming crust, the Earth's interior was still active. Convection currents within the mantle pushed molten rock to the surface, leading to the formation of the first volcanic islands. Over time, these islands coalesced, growing in size and forming the earliest land masses. The formation of the Earth's solid crust was a significant milestone. It set the stage for the development of stable landforms, the emergence of oceans, and the eventual genesis of life. This crust, while solid, was not static. It was and still is a dynamic entity, constantly reshaped by the forces of plate tectonics. From the molten beginnings of our Earth and the formation of its solid crust, our gaze now shifts skyward, to a celestial companion that has been a constant presence in our night sky, the Moon. This luminous satellite, with its phases and silvery glow, has inspired myths, guided navigators, and influenced the rhythms of life on Earth. But how did it come to be? And what role has it played in shaping our planet's rotation? As we touched upon earlier, the prevailing theory regarding the Moon's formation is rooted in a cataclysmic event. Early in Earth's history, a Mars-sized object named Theia collided with our young planet. This impact was so immense that it sent vast amounts of debris into space. This ejected material, a mix of both Earth and Theia, began to orbit our planet. Over time, through gravitational forces and countless collisions, this debris coalesced and formed what we now know as the Moon. But the Moon's formation was more than just a cosmic spectacle. It had profound implications for Earth. The impact with Theia imparted a significant amount of angular momentum to our planet. As a result, the young Earth had a much faster rotation, with days lasting only a few hours. However, the newly formed Moon, being in close proximity to Earth, began to exert gravitational forces on our planet. This gravitational interaction led to tidal forces, causing bulges in Earth's oceans. As the Moon orbited Earth, these tidal bulges attempted to align with it, but due to Earth's rotation, they were always slightly ahead. This discrepancy resulted in the bulges exerting a gravitational pull on the Moon, causing it to move away from Earth slowly. Conversely, the Moon's gravitational influence acted as a brake on Earth's rotation, gradually slowing it down. Over billions of years, this interaction has led to the lengthening of Earth's day and the Moon's gradual drift away from our planet. Today, the effects of this interaction are still evident. The Moon continues to recede from Earth at a rate of about 3.8 centimeters per year, and our days are gradually getting longer, albeit at a very slow pace. The Moon's formation and its intricate dance with Earth serve as a testament to the interconnectedness of celestial bodies. It reminds us that even in the vastness of space, events and entities are intertwined, shaping and influencing each other in profound ways. Having journeyed through the intricate dance between Earth and its celestial companion, the Moon, we now return our focus to the early chapters of our home planet's story. The Earth, in its nascent stages, was a realm of extremes, marked by fiery eruptions, celestial bombardments, and the gradual emergence of a life-sustaining envelope, the atmosphere. Let's delve into this tumultuous epoch, exploring the volcanic activity, meteorite impacts, and the processes that gave rise to our planet's protective shield. In the aftermath of its formation, Earth was a hotbed of geological activity. Beneath its still-forming crust, the mantle was alive with convection currents, driving molten rock to the surface. Volcanoes dotted the landscape, spewing lava, ash, and gases into the young atmosphere. These eruptions were not just isolated events, they were continuous and widespread, shaping and reshaping the Earth's surface. Simultaneously, the early solar system was a chaotic environment, teeming with leftover debris from its formation. Earth, with its growing gravitational pull, became a target for these wandering fragments. Meteorites, ranging from tiny specks to massive boulders, bombarded our planet. These impacts, while violent, played a crucial role in Earth's evolution. They delivered essential elements and compounds, including water, which would later form our oceans. But perhaps one of the most significant developments during this period was the formation of Earth's atmosphere. Initially, the atmosphere was dominated by gases like methane, ammonia, and water vapor, released from volcanic eruptions. However, as the Earth cooled, conditions became conducive for the condensation of water vapor, leading to the formation of the early oceans. These oceans began to play a pivotal role in atmospheric evolution. Simple organisms like cyanobacteria emerged in these waters and began the process of photosynthesis, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Over time, this oxygen accumulated, transforming the atmosphere from one devoid of this vital gas to one where it became a significant component. This evolving atmosphere served multiple purposes. It acted as a protective shield, filtering out harmful solar radiation. It played a role in regulating the planet's temperature, creating a greenhouse effect that kept the Earth warm. And, most importantly, it set the stage for the emergence and evolution of complex life. The early Earth, with its fiery landscapes, celestial impacts, and evolving atmosphere, was a testament to the dynamic nature of our planet. It reminds us that Earth, even in its earliest days, was a place of change, adaptation, and resilience. From the fiery eruptions and celestial bombardments of early Earth, we now find ourselves at a pivotal juncture in our planet's narrative. Amidst the evolving landscapes and the protective embrace of the atmosphere, the stage was set for one of the most profound events in Earth's history, the emergence of life. This chapter, marked by the transition from the simplicity of single-celled organisms to the complexity of multicellular life, is a testament to the tenacity and adaptability of life itself. Let's delve into this awe-inspiring epic, exploring the first sparks of life and the intricate dance of evolution. In the vast expanse of Earth's early oceans, amidst the swirling currents and mineral-rich waters, a miracle was unfolding. Simple molecules, driven by the energy from hydrothermal vents and the sun's rays, began to form complex structures. These structures, encapsulated within lipid membranes, were the precursors to the first cells. These primitive cells, or prokaryotes, lacked a defined nucleus but carried within them the blueprint of life, DNA. Over time, these prokaryotes diversified, adapting to various niches within the oceans. Among them, a particular group, the cyanobacteria, embarked on a transformative process, photosynthesis. By harnessing the sun's energy, they converted carbon dioxide and water into glucose, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. This oxygenation of the atmosphere set the stage for the next leap in evolutionary history. As the eons passed, certain prokaryotes began to form symbiotic relationships, leading to a significant evolutionary milestone, the emergence of eukaryotic cells. These cells, characterized by a defined nucleus and specialized organelles, were more complex and versatile. Within the protective embrace of these cells, DNA was safely housed within the nucleus, allowing for more intricate genetic processes. The stage was now set for another evolutionary leap. These eukaryotic cells, having thrived in the oceans, began to come together, forming colonies. Over time, these colonies became more specialized, with certain cells performing specific functions. This was the dawn of multicellularity. From simple colonies, complex organisms began to emerge, each cell playing its part in the symphony of life. The transition from single-celled organisms to multicellular life was not just a biological evolution, it was a testament to the power of cooperation and specialization. It laid the foundation for the diverse tapestry of life we see today, from the tiniest plankton to the majestic blue whale. From the delicate dance of single-celled organisms coming together to form the marvel of multicellular life, our narrative now propels us to a period in Earth's history that stands as a testament to the sheer diversity and adaptability of life. This epoch, known as the Cambrian explosion, was a burst of evolutionary creativity, a time when the tapestry of life became rich with color and complexity. Let's journey into this vibrant period, exploring the myriad forms that emerged and the factors that fueled this unparalleled diversification. Approximately 541 million years ago, the stage was set for one of the most significant evolutionary events in Earth's history. The oceans, teeming with simple multicellular organisms, were about to witness a rapid proliferation of new life forms. Over a relatively short geological time span, spanning just a few tens of millions of years, the number of distinct species exploded. From simple, soft-bodied creatures, the oceans became populated with a plethora of complex organisms, each with unique body plans, structures, and modes of life. Trilobites, with their segmented bodies and compound eyes, scuttled across the ocean floor. Bizarre creatures like Opabinia, with its 5 eyes and a long, grasping proboscis, swam through the waters. The first primitive ancestors of many modern animal groups, from mollusks to arthropods and even early vertebrates, made their debut during this period. But what fueled this explosion of diversity? Several factors converged to create the perfect conditions for evolutionary innovation. The atmosphere's oxygen levels had reached a critical threshold, supporting more energetically demanding organisms. The oceans were rich in nutrients, providing ample sustenance for the burgeoning life forms. Additionally, the development of hard body parts, like shells and exoskeletons, not only offered protection, but also opened up new ecological niches, driving competition and specialization. The Cambrian explosion was not just about the emergence of new species, it was about the establishment of complex ecosystems. Predators and prey, grazers and filter feeders, burrowers and swimmers all played their roles in the intricate dance of life. This period laid the foundation for the modern animal kingdom, setting the stage for the evolutionary dramas that would unfold in the subsequent epochs. From the vibrant waters of the Cambrian seas, teeming with a plethora of life forms, our narrative now shifts to the ever-evolving landscapes of our planet. As life flourished in the oceans, the Earth's crust was undergoing its own dance of change and transformation. Massive landmasses were coming together, giving rise to supercontinents. And as these vast tracts of land formed, they set the stage for a new chapter in the story of life, the emergence and evolution of land animals. Let's traverse these ancient terrains, exploring the formation of supercontinents and the pioneering species that ventured from water to land. Throughout Earth's history, the continents have been in a state of constant motion, driven by the forces of plate tectonics. These land masses, floating atop the semi-fluid mantle, have collided, merged, and broken apart in an intricate dance that spans eons. One of the most significant outcomes of these movements was the formation of supercontinents, vast landmasses that brought together multiple smaller continents. One such supercontinent, Pangaea, formed around 300 million years ago. As Pangaea took shape, it brought with it profound changes to the planet's climate, ocean currents, and ecosystems. The interiors of this massive landmass became arid, while the coastlines were marked by lush, swampy environments. It was against this backdrop that a significant evolutionary transition occurred. Life, which had primarily been confined to the oceans, began to explore the terrestrial realm. The first pioneers of this transition were plants, which colonized the land and transformed it into a green, hospitable environment. These plants played a crucial role in creating stable ecosystems, producing oxygen, and providing a food source for the animals that would soon follow. Among the first animals to venture onto land were the arthropods, including early ancestors of insects and spiders. Their exoskeletons provided support and protection, allowing them to navigate the challenges of the terrestrial environment. Following closely were the amphibians, descendants of fish that had evolved limbs and lungs. These creatures, with their ability to breathe both in water and on land, became the bridge between aquatic and terrestrial life. The formation of supercontinents and the colonization of land by animals set the stage for the next phase of evolutionary history. As ecosystems became more complex, new niches opened up, driving further diversification and specialization. From the early amphibians, reptiles emerged, laying hard-shelled eggs and further reducing their dependence on aquatic environments. The stage was set for the rise of the dinosaurs, mammals, and the myriad land animals that would come to dominate the planet. Having witnessed the grandeur of supercontinents and the pioneering steps of the first land animals, we now delve deeper into the struggles and triumphs of these terrestrial pioneers. The transition from water to land was no small feat. It presented a myriad of challenges, from the basic necessities of breathing and locomotion to the complexities of reproduction and survival. Yet, as with all chapters in the story of life, adversity spurred innovation. Let's journey together, dear listeners, into the world of early land animals, exploring the obstacles they faced and the remarkable evolutionary solutions they devised. The very act of moving from water to land presented the first set of challenges. In the buoyant embrace of the oceans, weight and support were not pressing concerns. However, on land, the pull of gravity necessitated structural adaptations. Early amphibians, with their muscular limbs, evolved a robust skeletal system, providing the necessary support and allowing them to navigate the varied terrains of the ancient landscapes. Breathing was another significant challenge. While the aquatic ancestors of these land animals relied on gills to extract oxygen from water, the terrestrial environment demanded a different approach. Lungs, which allowed for the intake of atmospheric oxygen, became a crucial adaptation. These early lungs, while rudimentary compared to those of modern animals, set the stage for the diverse respiratory systems we see in land animals today. Reproduction, too, underwent a transformation. In the aquatic realm, external fertilization was common, with eggs and sperm released into the water. On land, this method was not viable. Early land animals, especially amphibians, had to return to water to reproduce. Over time, evolutionary innovations like internal fertilization and the development of hard-shelled eggs in reptiles allowed for a complete transition to terrestrial reproduction. Survival on land also meant contending with new predators and finding novel ways to secure food. This drove the evolution of various defensive mechanisms, from camouflage and toxins to speed and agility. The development of specialized sensory organs like enhanced vision and hearing allowed these early land animals to better navigate their environment and detect both prey and predators. As the eons passed, these challenges spurred a plethora of evolutionary innovations. From the amphibians came the reptiles, and from them, the dinosaurs and mammals. Each group, in its own way, tackled the challenges of terrestrial life, refining and building upon the solutions of their predecessors. As we draw our journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound tapestry of events that have shaped our planet's history. From the birth of our solar system, the formation of the sun, the tumultuous early years of Earth, to the emergence and evolution of life, each chapter tells a story of resilience, adaptation, and the inexorable march of time. The Chicxulub incident, a cataclysmic event that forever altered the course of life on Earth, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility and interconnectedness of our world. A single moment, a cosmic collision, had the power to reshape ecosystems, extinguish countless species, and pave the way for new forms of life to emerge. Yet, amidst the chaos and destruction, life found a way. Seeds and pollen, resilient in the face of adversity, ensured the continuity of plant life. The oceans, though transformed and challenged, remained cradles of biodiversity. And from the ashes of extinction, new life forms arose, each adapting and evolving to the ever-changing conditions of our planet. Our journey through Earth's history is not just a chronicle of events, but a testament to the enduring spirit of life. It's a story of challenges met, of adversities overcome, and of the relentless drive of life to persist, adapt, and thrive. As we conclude this video, let us carry with us a sense of wonder and reverence for the intricate web of life that surrounds us. Let us celebrate the resilience of nature, the beauty of evolution, and the mysteries that await us in the chapters yet to be written. Thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this voyage through time. Until our next adventure, cherish the world around you, for it is a story millennia in the making.